Marvel Zombies, the original Outbreak. It started with a simple distress call from an alternate Earth. Reed Richards detected the transmission and opened a portal to help. But what came through wasn't a survivor. It was a zombified Sentry carrying a virus that turned heroes into flesh-eating monsters while keeping their intelligence and powers intact. The infection spread impossibly fast. Spider-Man bit Aunt May and Mary Jane. Captain America turned his shield into a weapon for hunting civilians. The Avengers didn't unite to save the world, they united to devour it. Within hours, Earth's mightiest heroes became its greatest predators. But here's the twist. The zombies retained their personalities. They knew what they were doing was wrong. They felt guilt between meals. Spider-Man cried while eating his family. Colonel America gave speeches about how they needed to find a cure while his mouth dripped with blood. The horror wasn't just the violence, it was watching heroes fight their own nature and lose every single time. When Magneto tried to lead the human resistance, the zombie heroes worked together just like old times to hunt him down. They ripped him apart while discussing strategy and cracking jokes. The original Outbreak showed that the real monster wasn't the virus. It was the fact that heroism couldn't survive hunger. Marvel Zombies, the Galactus Twist. After devouring Earth's population, the zombified heroes faced a new problem: starvation. They'd eaten everyone and the hunger never stopped. Then Galactus arrived to consume the planet, and the zombies saw an opportunity. Instead of fighting him, they attacked as a coordinated team, using every strategy they'd learned as heroes. Giant Man grew to cosmic size and bit into Galactus's armor. Hulk punched through his defenses. Iron Man, Thor, Luke Cage, and others swarmed him like insects. The twist came when they actually won. They killed and consumed Galactus, absorbing the power cosmic. But instead of satisfaction, they gained something worse: cosmic awareness. They could sense life across the universe, billions of worlds filled with food they could reach in seconds. The zombie Avengers became the new Galactus. But worse, Galactus consumed planets out of necessity. The zombies did it out of addiction. They traveled from world to world, slaughtering entire civilizations while fully aware of the magnitude of their crimes. Colonel America tried to maintain some code of honor. Spider-Man kept apologizing, but they never stopped eating. The story revealed that absolute power doesn't corrupt absolutely, hunger does. And when heroes fall, they fall harder than anyone. Marvel Zombies versus the Army of Darkness. Ash Williams from Evil Dead was minding his own business when the Necronomicon transported him to the Marvel Zombies universe. The twist wasn't that he arrived, it was when. Ash appeared before the Outbreak fully consumed Earth, giving humanity one last chance. But Ash, being Ash, he made everything worse. He tried to warn the Avengers about the zombie threat, but they didn't believe him. When the infection started spreading, he attempted to lead survivors while constantly making tactical errors. His chainsaw and boomstick were useless against opponents with super speed and invulnerability. The real twist came when Ash discovered the zombie plague wasn't supernatural at all. The Necronomicon couldn't stop it because it wasn't magic-based. It was a virus that science had created, and magic couldn't cure. Ash spent the entire story trying to find an incantation that would fix everything, but the solution required biology, not spells. Eventually, Ash escaped back to his own dimension, leaving the Marvel Universe to its fate. The crossover worked as a dark commentary on heroism. Ash was supposed to be the chosen one, the hero prophesied to save the world. Instead, he was just a guy with a shotgun facing problems way beyond his understanding. Sometimes the hero arrives too late. Sometimes the hero isn't enough. And sometimes the world just ends anyway. By the way, if you guys like Marvel Zombies content like this, I'm going to start posting a lot here about horror comics and alternate universe storylines. Thanks. Marvel Zombies, Dead Days. This prequel showed how the Outbreak actually started, and it was worse than anyone imagined. The story opened with heroes already infected, but still fighting their hunger. The Avengers gathered at Stark Tower, some infected, some not, everyone panicking. Nick Fury tried to organize a response, but SHIELD was compromised from the inside. The twist revealed that some heroes intentionally spread the infection. Once they turned, they tracked down their closest friends and infected them on purpose because they didn't want to be monsters alone. Hank Pym bit Janet Van Dyne, then explained exactly what he'd done while she transformed. Spider-Man infected Mary Jane, apologizing the entire time. The zombie plague wasn't spreading because heroes failed to stop it. It spread because infected heroes were actively weaponizing their relationships. The most devastating scene showed Reed Richards locking himself away to find a cure, knowing he was infected but fighting it with pure willpower. He almost succeeded. His notes indicated he'd isolated the virus and was hours from a vaccine. Then the hunger overwhelmed him and he ate his own children. The story ended where the original series began, with Reed opening the portal that brought the Sentry through. The twist was that Reed knew exactly what he was doing. He was so consumed with guilt over failing to save his family that he deliberately damned another universe. Dead Days revealed that the zombie plague succeeded not because of the virus's strength, but because of heroes' weakness. Their bonds, their love, their trust, all of it became weapons. Marvel Zombies 2: The Return. 40 years after consuming Galactus, the cosmic zombies returned to Earth, hoping to find survivors they'd somehow missed. The twist was that Earth had rebuilt. A new generation of heroes had emerged, led by Black Panther, who'd survived the original outbreak and spent decades preparing for the zombies' return. But here's where it got complicated. Some of the cosmic zombies had developed resistance to the hunger. Spider-Man, Luke Cage, and a few others discovered that the power cosmic allowed them to suppress their need to feed. They wanted redemption. They wanted to help rebuild. The story became a moral nightmare. Should the survivors trust reformed zombies with cosmic power? Black Panther said no. Some of his allies disagreed. The heroes who'd resisted infection for 40 years started fracturing over whether redemption was possible for mass murderers. The real twist came when Giant Man, who'd become the worst of the cosmic zombies, revealed he'd been traveling to other universes and infecting them. He created a multiversal zombie plague, and Earth was just one stop on his universal feeding tour. The cosmic zombies who wanted redemption had to fight their former allies, essentially becoming heroes again by stopping themselves. But every victory raised horrible questions. Could Spider-Man really be trusted after eating billions? Did saving one Earth balance out destroying hundreds? The story ended ambiguously, with reformed zombies watching over humanity while humanity feared them. It wasn't a happy ending. It was a tense ceasefire built on terror and necessity. Marvel Zombies 3. The infection spreads to 616. The main Marvel universe discovered the zombie plague when infected Deadpool variants started appearing. But Machine Man and Jocasta tracked the real threat. Someone was deliberately transporting zombie tissue into their reality. The twist revealed that AIM had been harvesting zombie samples to weaponize. They wanted to create controlled zombies they could deploy against enemies. Instead, they created a contained outbreak that threatened to spread across Earth 616. The story took a dark turn when heroes had to make impossible choices. Do you save a person who's been bitten, knowing they'll turn within hours? Do you quarantine entire cities? At what point does prevention become execution? Black Panther led a task force that included heroes and reformed villains, all working together because the alternative was extinction. But the real horror came from watching 616 heroes making the same mistakes their zombie counterparts made. They hesitated to kill infected friends. They believed they could find a cure before it was too late. They trusted their abilities to overcome any threat. The twist showed that heroism itself was the vulnerability. Heroes want to save everyone, even when saving one person dooms thousands. The plague was eventually contained, but barely, and the story ended with a chilling revelation. Samples still existed in classified locations, meaning the threat could resurface anytime someone decided the risk was worth the potential weapon. Marvel Zombies Return: The Time Loop. Zombie Spider-Man, one of the few reformed cosmic zombies, discovered something horrifying. The zombie plague existed in a multiversal time loop. Every universe that got infected would eventually produce cosmic zombies who'd travel through dimensions, spreading the plague. Those zombies would eventually return to their home universe, completing a cycle that ensured the infection never truly ended. The twist came when Zombie Spider-Man realized he could break the loop by traveling back to his universe's past and preventing the initial outbreak. But changing the past meant erasing himself and every version of reality he'd experienced. He assembled a team of reformed zombie heroes for a suicide mission across time and space. Each issue showed them arriving at different points in their universe's history, trying to prevent the infection. But every attempt failed in creative ways. Stopping Reed Richards from opening the portal just meant someone else opened it. Killing the infected Sentry meant a different carrier arrived. The universe seemed determined to create the plague. The final twist revealed why. The zombie plague wasn't an accident or an invasion. It was a cosmic failsafe designed by the Watchers. They created it to purge universes that became too powerful, ensuring no single reality could threaten the multiverse. The infection targeted heroes specifically because heroes were the ones who could break reality. Zombie Spider-Man realized he wasn't fighting a virus. He was fighting fundamental universal law. The story ended with him accepting his role as a reformed monster, choosing to protect the multiverse from other zombie outbreaks rather than trying to undo his own past. It wasn't redemption. It was acceptance that some sins can't be erased, only balanced with future actions. Marvel Zombies Supreme: The Squadron Sinister. In a universe where the Squadron Supreme replaced the Avengers, the zombie plague arrived differently. These heroes were more brutal, more willing to cross lines, and when the infection hit, they became something worse than the original zombie Avengers. Hyperion, this universe's Superman equivalent, became a cosmic-level threat that consumed entire star systems. The twist was that this universe's heroes were already morally compromised before infection. They'd mind-controlled villains, executed criminals, and rebuilt society according to their vision. The zombie plague just removed their last restraints. The story followed Nick Fury leading a human resistance against monsters who were already dictators before they became zombies. But here's where it got dark. The resistance discovered that some squadron members had been infected for months and hiding it. They'd been quietly feeding on civilians while maintaining their heroic facades. The zombie virus didn't change them immediately. It slowly corrupted them, and they consciously chose to hide their transformation rather than step down. Nighthawk, this universe's Batman, realized what was happening and tried to warn people. But he'd spent so long manipulating others for the greater good that no one believed him when he told the truth. The story became a tragedy about crying wolf. A hero who'd lied for noble reasons couldn't make people listen when the real threat emerged. The universe fell not because the zombies were too strong, but because trust had eroded long before the outbreak began. Marvel Zombies Destroy. Targeting Howard the Duck's universe. The zombie plague reached Howard the Duck's noir-style universe, and everything went sideways. This wasn't heroes fighting in costumes. This was street-level investigators dealing with a supernatural outbreak they didn't understand. Howard teamed up with Dum Dum Dugan and the Midnight Suns to track the source. The twist came when they discovered the zombies in this universe were different. They weren't mindless or even particularly aggressive. They were organized, calculating, and using human allies. The zombie plague had evolved. In this reality, it created a symbiotic relationship where infected hosts could suppress the hunger if they were fed regularly. Imagine organized crime, but the mob bosses are intelligent zombies running protection rackets where they spare people who provide tribute. Howard uncovered a conspiracy where government officials were secretly infected and using their positions to maintain a stable food supply. They'd turned the zombie apocalypse into a functioning shadow government. The real horror wasn't chaos. It was order, a system where humanity accepted predators as leaders because the alternative was uncontrolled slaughter. Howard faced an impossible choice: expose the truth and trigger a war that would kill millions, or stay silent and let the infected remain in power. The story ended with Howard making a deal with the zombie leadership. He'd keep their secret if they agreed to strict regulations. It wasn't heroic. It was pragmatic survival in a world where winning meant compromise with monsters. The final page showed Howard drinking alone, knowing he'd become complicit in something unforgivable, but convinced it was the only way to save lives. Marvel Zombies: Resurrection in the Modern Age. Years after the original Outbreak stories, Marvel revisited the concept with a new twist. In this version, the brood aliens discovered zombie tissue samples and weaponized them. They infected the X-Men first, knowing mutant healing factors would create super-resilient zombies. The story opened with Cyclops already turned, using his tactical genius to organize zombie mutants into hunting packs. The twist came when Franklin Richards, the reality-warping child, accidentally spread the infection while trying to cure it. His powers amplified the virus, creating zombies with reality-manipulating abilities. Suddenly, the plague could infect through thoughts, through alternate timelines, through conceptual space. The infection became metaphysical. Doctor Strange tried to contain it mystically, but discovered the zombie plague had evolved beyond physical form. It was becoming an idea, a concept that spread through consciousness itself. People who heard detailed descriptions of the plague started manifesting symptoms. The story took a meta-horror turn where knowledge itself became contagion. The Fantastic Four isolated themselves to find a solution, but Reed Richards realized there wasn't one. You can't cure an idea. The only solution was to make people forget, to erase all knowledge of the zombie plague from the collective consciousness, but doing that meant erasing themselves, their struggles, everything they'd learned. The final twist revealed this had happened before, multiple times. The Marvel Universe had faced and forgotten the zombie plague across countless cycles. Each time, they developed the same solution: mass amnesia. The story ended with Reed initiating the memory wipe, knowing that someday, someone would rediscover the plague and the cycle would start again. It was cosmic horror disguised as superhero fiction, revealing that some threats can't be defeated, only delayed. Marvel Zombies: The Watcher's Role. Throughout every zombie outbreak, Uatu the Watcher observed without interfering, as always. But this story revealed his perspective, and it was terrifying. The Watchers had seen the zombie plague spread across thousands of universes. They'd documented every variation, every evolution, every failed containment. The twist came when Uatu revealed that Watchers were forbidden from interfering, not because of Prime directives, but because every intervention made it worse. In one timeline, Watchers warned heroes about the infection before it arrived. Those heroes developed a cure, but it mutated the virus into something worse. In another timeline, Watchers evacuated humanity before the outbreak. The zombies followed them to their sanctuary and infected a multiversal refugee center. Every attempt to help created larger catastrophes. Uatu showed that the zombie plague wasn't just a virus. It was a multiversal constant, like entropy or death. Some realities were simply meant to fall. Fighting it only spread the infection to universes that might have been spared. The most chilling revelation came when Uatu explained that the Watchers themselves could be infected. There were zombie Watchers in sealed dimensions, unable to die, unable to eat, observing universes they could never reach. The horror of existing eternally with unending hunger drove them insane. The story ended with Uatu watching another universe begin its outbreak, knowing he'd seen this exact sequence thousands of times and would see it thousands more. The zombie plague wasn't a story about heroes or villains. It was about inevitability. Some futures can't be changed, only witnessed. If you enjoyed this deep dive into Marvel Zombies storylines, I post horror comic content regularly here, covering everything from alternate universe disasters to villain origin stories. I would greatly appreciate it if you could subscribe. Thanks for watching and see you next time.